made known to those individuals who are talking about a new era in terms of moving beyond where we are and opportunities and et cetera. And I think Congress, we have an election that's scheduled here, and all of these things, this ought to be good material for those individuals who are talking about trying to improve the lives of individuals all across America. Now, I think we might be dealing with chocolate cities here, but there ought to be some kind of movement somewhere in Congress, somewhere with some kind of force that can deal with all of these problems, because it seems that these are national problems, even though we talk about chocolate cities and et cetera. As the chocolate cities go, I would imagine as America would go too. Would not you say that?
Yes, exactly. In fact, in the 9 years of doing this study, what I've found is there are 3 areas with which African Americans are most dissatisfied. 1 is education, 2 is quality of child care, and 3 is a relationship between African Americans and the police. Those are the 3 poorest performing areas on the survey, which is frightening when we're living in cities that have high crime rates, but yet we don't get good police service. Then the last 2 both have to do with our children, which are our future, child care and education. There has to be a greater effort at improving education, and throwing money at education is not the answer. I mean, look at who we produce when we had nothing, when we had no money during the times of segregation, when we had children in little schoolhouses in the middle of nowhere, and yet a lot of those people have PhDs, MDs, JDs, and now we're not producing at that level when we had no money. And so the #1 factor in determining the success or failure of a student is the investment, the emotional investment, and real investment that a teacher has in that classroom. And apparently must not be happening today. I'm not going to say anything bad about teachers. Maybe they're handicapped, maybe they're in a position where they can't. But I think, where do our children spend the most time in these cities? At school. And that's where they are the most of the time. And that's where we lose our black males, is in school. They go from school to special ed to prison. And I think that's the #1 area that we have to invest in. #2, and I learned this again, was with child care. I don't have any children, but people that I know who do say child care is extremely expensive, and then good child care, it's almost a double-edged sword. I want to work so I can make money, but if I work, I can't be at home with my kids, and then I spend all my money on child care. I don't have any money to improve. So there has to be some incentive, maybe some kind of tax break, or maybe something that could be done with incentives that can be given to either faith-based organizations or nonprofits to really make child care for women a lot more readily available. A lot of private companies now have some on-site child care, but we really have to make free women so that they're able to become even more active in their careers, because the woman is the first teacher of our children, and so if she's struggling, she's having a hard time, that's going to have an effect upon our children. And I don't have an answer for out-of-wedlock births. I don't have an answer for that, but we do know that whether these children are born in wedlock or out of wedlock, they spend most of their time either in child care or in school.
Dr. Padgett, let's see if you can give us an answer to this. Do you think that it would be cost-effective if the government and private agencies moved into these cities and attempted to deal with some of these problems? Would that be cost-effective?
Yeah, I think that if we're willing to invest, $80,000 a year to imprison somebody, then we could, invest half of that, or even and send somebody to college for 4 years. I was listening to...
And so, of course, we're just about at the end of the show for today, but I appreciate the information, and let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you, and good morning.